This is the brand new film that just hit theaters this past Friday. Wes Ball, the director of the previous three Maze Runner films, takes over the franchise from Matt Reeves over the previous two movies. This movie stays in continuity with the trilogy of the previous decade, but this time around, this movie takes place 300 years after the events of War for the Planet of the Apes, which came out in 2017. But obviously, 300 years later, after Caesar and the apes basically are now running the planet of Earth, and there's little humans left living around. This movie now takes place with the star of Noah, played by Owen Teague, who is the son of someone who is the master of birds. Noah is involved in his Eagle Clan when an Eagle Clan is interrupted and taken for prisoner by Proximus, played by Kevin Durand. He's on another revenge path to get his clan back. While along the way, he meets two side characters who try to help him along the way. Raka, an orangutan played by Peter Macon, and a human, May, who seems to be one of the more smarter humans left in society, played by Freya Allen. The film is 2 hours and 25 minutes, the longest of the franchise, and is PG-13. Welcome back to a brand new review here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Zach Sindberg. Today I'm talking Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. If you're new to the channel, let me know your thoughts on the movie in the comment section. Well, actually, if you also have been here before, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on the state of the Planet of the Apes franchise? Should they move forward with this direction, or should they somehow get back to where they were before, or should they just do a total reset once again? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I will be doing a ranking video of the 4 films of the last decade. So don't give me your ranking down below, because I will do a full video telling you my thoughts on the Planet of the Apes, these last 4 movies. Also, please subscribe, ring the bell. I talk all things movies, TVs, and I do box office breakdown shows, and I do out-of-theater reactions. So please subscribe, ring the bell if you're new to the channel, comment down below, and like the video, guys, the thumbs up button. So I did see all these movies before, the previous 3 trilogy of films, and it is, for me, one of, if not one of the best trilogies ever for any major franchise. That they just went with, the first one with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and then getting to Dawn and War, directed by Matt Reeves. This is a great franchise. And sorry, it's Rupert Wyatt who did the first film, and then Reeves doing the last 2. And I just rewatched all 3 leading into this movie, which I do think will help your experience. You can watch this movie, I guess, if you have not seen the trilogy of movies, but the whole story does revolve around if you've seen the previous 3 films. So I think you can get away with seeing this if you haven't seen the trilogy, but I would highly recommend seeing the trilogy. It's one of the best trilogies of all time. But let's get into Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And what my thoughts are is I had very low expectations because no Caesar, no Matt Reeves. We ended on such a perfect note. It's really a perfect trilogy, in my opinion. And that's why everyone has their debates on what's their favorite, what your ranking is. That's why I can't wait to share mine in the coming days. But a new phrase, Wes Ball, coming off of the Maze Runner movies, and I've read all the Maze Runner books and saw the movies. I was very underwhelmed by the trilogy of the Maze Runner. So this wasn't a director who got me excited that he's going to revamp the franchise. And now we're going so far in the future where there's no more Caesar, obviously, at the end of War for the Planet of the Apes. So how does this franchise sustain itself without a powerful lead character? But this movie surprised me. I thought this was a great follow-up to a trilogy that is really hard to follow up. And I do think you could put this movie not on the same emotional level, but I think you could put it on the same level as those first 3 movies. While I might not consider this better than any of those 3 movies, which we'll get to with a video this week, I really enjoyed myself getting back into the world, and because I really needed the movie to give me a reason on why we need to continue with this continuity. Why is it so important that we're going 300 years past Caesar? And the movie answers all of those questions. I think the best part about the film is the way it handles the apes. 300 years later, Caesar is kind of revered as kind of this like religious figure. There's a group of apes who are kind of the villains of the movies, who are using Caesar's old ways to manipulate apes against humans, not just against humans, but manipulating their own kind against each other. Even though it's, apes strong together, and things like, and apes don't kill apes. The character of Proximus, who's played by Kevin Durand, is using even Caesar's name for his own to get across the point. But you also have the character of Rocco, who I just said, who's an orangutan played by Peter Macon, who is a devout follower of Caesar's actual teachings. And this movie is very fascinating because while the characters never interacted with Caesar, he's like a Jesus-like figure to the apes. We have, if you've seen the previous three movies, we have been there and seen how he acts, how he interacts with humans, how he goes about his leadership. And it's a very fascinating movie to watch where we know everything that happened 300 years prior to the events of the movie, but we're learning about the new world now. And while the characters in this movie are very much involved in the world now and are trying to go back and learn what Caesar did when we were watching those movies, I find it to be a fascinating experience. And the movie makes it know very early on that you're going to feel Caesar's presence throughout the entire movie. The way that different characters use his mythos, the way people follow him, and is Caesar's way of, and his belief that humans and apes could walk and live side by side. That is a huge theme, and that Noah and May, the main ape and the main human character, and really all the characters are thinking about throughout the entire movie. In Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, the second film of that trilogy, Caesar's goal is for humans and apes to coexist in peace. But obviously, Koba started that war, which led into the end of that movie, setting up a war for the Planet of the Apes, which led to the apes taking over the planet. But now, 300 years later, as more humans are starting to learn, is there a pathway to get apes and humans on the same side by side? And that presence of Caesar's beliefs, feeling that throughout, I really appreciate that. Noah is a very great lead character. Noah's played by Owen Teague, and it's a great performance. It's a really good lead character. He is not Caesar, because he's actually a very, just like Caesar, very complicated character. He's a very gentle, just a nice ape at the beginning of the movie. But obviously, when all these other apes come in and take his clan, then he starts to learn. And as he starts learning of Caesar's teachings through Raka, and then he starts learning what the humans are through May, his whole life gets flipped. And he has a really captivating character arc from the beginning of the movie until the end of the movie, because he, just like the audience, is learning about what this world is like post Caesar. And I found that to be very fascinating, and Teague is very good. Kevin Durant stands out the most. He plays Proximus, the king of these other group of apes, and he is threatening. And this keeps up the streak of Koba in Dawn and the Colonel in War, and now Proximus here in Kingdom, of just terrifying, threatening villains who you feel are legitimate threats for our lead characters. And while you might not think Proximus could get the job done, maybe, he's a threatening villain that I really appreciated towards the back half of the movie. I love Peter Macon as Rocco. Rocco was easily my favorite character of the good guys in the entire movie. And Macon does a great job. Again, these are motion capture performances, and people want to keep saying these are not real performances or these shouldn't be worthy of nominations and things, but I love these performances in in all four of the Apes movies. These are not just video created, digital created animals like the Lion King ones. This movie and this franchise has always needed this mixture of the digital and the human performance, and it comes off so authentic. The CGI and the effects of the apes are amazing, just jaw-dropping of them. There's not one sense of just disbelief when you're watching this movie. And also what helps is, again, just like the previous trilogy, this movie shot a lot on location, so you can really feel the authenticity come through on screen. Now, from a negative perspective, I think by far and away the biggest thing holding this movie back is the human element with May, played by Freya Allen. When May gets introduced and the first couple scenes with her, I was like, this is actually a really interesting thing. She's very much an unknown. But when Freya starts becoming a major focal point, I think that's when the movie really hinders itself, because the May storyline becomes side by side with Noah and the Apes' plot lines. And I just don't think that May's plot line should have ever even come close to overtaking the apes. And the third act comes together, and I've never seen Freya Allen in anything, but I just didn't love her performance in the movie. She was good, and then I think it's more the script and where the character goes, but also the performance wasn't totally working for me. And the character herself just became less and less interesting as the movie went on. And the only thing I really cared about was the apes ruling the kingdom. But the movie wants to get in this human optimism involved. And I think I get the reason. And I think story-wise, it fits. But from an execution perspective, it just didn't come together for me. So that was my biggest negative. And I do think the movie does take a bit to get going. We don't really get to see Proximus until like 45 hours into the movie. I think they could have had the other apes come into the movie a lot sooner. But overall, I really enjoyed Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I think this goes fits perfectly with the previous trilogy, and I'm very interested in seeing where the franchise goes next. So I'm going to give Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes a 4 out of 5 stars, 80% for the new addition into the Planet of the Apes franchise. I'm very happy to say that. What are your thoughts on this movie? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you guys soon.